guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your #1 source for all things films and movies. And we got some really interesting news in regards to the DCEU, kind of leading up to some things that we've been speculating upon for quite some time, with what DC plans on doing to kind of revise their own timeline and change some things around. And it is really interesting to take a close look at some of the plans for the future and what they're looking at doing, especially because we know we're going to see some conflict, obviously, when the Snyder Cut of Justice League is released, as opposed to the original version that went into theaters that was directed by Joss Whedon. So what's really interesting about this whole story is we recently got a new interview from Wonder Woman 1984 and the original Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, who kind of subtly confirmed that for the future of the DCEU, it's looking like Warner Brothers and DC plan on tossing out the Joss Whedon theatrical cut of Justice League in favor of kind of reiterating that the version releasing on HBO Max is the canon version of the story and will be the story that will kind of be a reference point for the future of the franchise and try to fit everything back into there. Now, this came briefly in an interview when Patty Jenkins was kind of talking about how fans kind of disregarded or threw away that standalone Justice League movie. It didn't do very well, and then kind of reiterated that there was an original vision with, of course, Zack Snyder, and that version will kind of take precedence in the future, which is definitely a very interesting statement. This is something we've never really seen before out of the DCEU or even other existing franchises that span multiple movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sure, there's been subtle retcons along the way, but for the most part, we haven't seen something where they take a major precedence over a different type of story or a different cut of a movie, and that's going to be something really interesting to see how that ends up playing out, especially because there's a lot riding on the Snyder Cut to release. It also brings into question whether or not we'll see other cuts along the way. There was calls for things like possibly Suicide Squad to get a new release as well, and will that fix some things? We don't really know how that'll play together just yet, but there's definitely a lot riding on this and a lot of considerations that need to be made. Patty Jenkins, though, does seem pretty confident in her upcoming Wonder Woman movie, with Wonder Woman 1984 finally set to release at the end of this year, but also we know that Disney has been eyeing Patty Jenkins to possibly scoop her up for some time, and she is now set up to be directing a new Star Wars movie called Rogue Squadron after everything with Wonder Woman's run is completed. So it is interesting to see what this could also mean for whether or not we see future Wonder Womans down the road, or if we see more movies directed by Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman in the near future, or if maybe there's going to be some plans for crossover stuff to occur well before we revisit this character again. But nonetheless, it is really interesting to see everything that they're planning on doing, and just kind of the general consensus towards throwing out a movie that had a theatrical release that millions of people saw in favor of a new version that kind of has this big question mark because it's going into uncharted territory with it releasing on HBO Max. We definitely think a lot of people will tune in and sign up to watch it as it releases, but it will be interesting to see what type of legs it ends up getting, and if this will be the major revision that fans have been asking for, and if it will live up to the hype of everything that fans have been asking for quite some time. So I wanted to turn this around to you guys. What do you think of the possibility of this upcoming movie, of kind of how they're going to release Justice League on HBO Max? And do you think it's a good idea to kind of disregard ahead of time the Joss Whedon cut? Or do you think that since it's already in theaters, it should still be set in stone? Let us know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.
I'm about to.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.
Know anybody?